Tonight on Boxing After Dark, you'll see a fistic triple header. First, 1996 Olympic gold medalist David Reid continues his climb up the junior middleweight ranks, taking on Rochester, New York native Robert Frazier. Then Hasim Rahman tries to take another step forward in the crowded heavyweight division against comebacking veteran Jesse Ferguson. And then in our main event, middleweight champion Bernard Hopkins makes his HBO return performance, first time here in 5 years, against 15-year veteran of the sport, Simon Brown. We are at Trump's Taj Mahal in Atlantic City tonight, just one floor up from the theater where Bob Dylan earlier performed. Now, a hard rains are going to fall in the ring. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to this Boxing After Dark date, which will stretch over 2 dates on the calendar because we're bound to go past midnight Eastern time with you. Each of the 3 bouts with its own distinctive storyline, starting with the continued professional progress of young David Reid, who you recall was the only American Olympic boxing gold medalist at Atlanta in the summer of 1996. We'll start off with the regular expert commentator for Boxing After Dark, star of the American Olympic team in 1988, and the man who's at the center of a lot of big boxing news this week, Roy Jones Jr. There are reports that you have the outlines of a deal to fight your first heavyweight fight against Buster Douglas, of all opponents, on May 2. How true is that?
You know, there's been talk, there's been a lot of speculation about it, but I haven't really made up my mind whether I want to take a risk like that because this guy's 60 pounds heavier than me already. And, you know, I don't want to do nothing foolish. I'm a great champion. I'm a great fighter. I have a big heart, and I don't think that there's nothing that I can't do if I put my mind to it. But right now, I'm not certain about it. I'll have to confide in my family and see what they think is best for me. Is that a good decision or is that too much of a risk? Whatever my mother and father tell me to do is what I'll do.
Final decision, how soon?
May.
And this talking to your father about this, does that represent a dramatic reunion between you and your dad?
Could. You never know.
All right. Well, we'll hope for that, Roy. What do you expect out of David Reid tonight?
I think David Reid will pick up his punch output. He has a guy here in front of him that is also a great amateur, has a great amateur background. So David will come out and look to go ahead and take care of things, to maintain, to establish control and maintain control throughout the fight. I think it'll be a good fight for him because this is good at this point of his career. All
right. Also working with us as always, HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Larry, when you talk about David Reid, he's only had 6 pro fights, 20 rounds as a pro fighter, but already some of the people around him are talking about a possible title fight this year, 1998. What is the hurry?
Good question. All I can think of, Jim, is it's the Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, Venus and Vanessa Williams syndrome. Precocious youth, whatever the dangers, whatever the tradition, wants to be served now. And for the truth to be told, so does the promoters who have given a pot full of gold to David Reid to sign him up. That is a danger. Fortunately for Reid, he has in Al Mitchell, his mentor and trainer, someone who insists that he will be a safety catch on his young gun. That remains to be seen.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight as Reid goes in against a once celebrated amateur named Robert Frazier. And we'll take a look now at a closer look at the 2 fighters. And here is Reid, 1996 Olympic gold medalist. You'll recall that he was well behind against the Cuban Duvergel when he dropped him with a sensational right hand in the 3rd round to win the gold. And the professional opponents he's been in with so far were all good, credible pros with winning records. And across the ring from him, a man he once fought in the Golden Gloves competition in 1994. Reid won a close 3-2 judges decision in that fight against Robert Frazier of Rochester, New York. You can see that Frazier won a Golden Gloves championship, had 200 amateur fights, and lost in the 1992 Olympic trials to Vernon Forrest, who is himself an unbeaten professional fighter right now. Frazier sees himself as a terrific fighter and can't believe that he's gotten the opportunity to fight somebody like Reid this early in Reid's professional career. Tail of the tape between the 254-pound junior middleweight fighters, and you will see that they are equal in age at 24. Half-inch height advantage to Frazier, who weighed in 2 pounds under the limit. 7-inch reach advantage for Robert Push-Up Frazier. And rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The David Reid Robert Frazier fight is scheduled for 8 rounds. There is no standing 8 count. No 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 8th and final round.
Thank you, Harold. Let's go to Michael Buffer in the ring for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. to Donald J. Trump's Taj Mahal Casino Resort of Atlantic City, New Jersey, where tonight Cedric Kushner Promotions and America presents, in association with your undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, this Bud's for you, present an evening of professional boxing for your entertainment. All the bouts are sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr. The 3 judges assigned to this first bout will be Emil Conforti, John Stewart, and Ed Leahy. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Tony Orlando. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the Trump Taj Mahal, 8 rounds of boxing. This is in the junior middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing gold trimmed with black and weighing in at 153 pounds. His professional record, 15 victories with only 1 loss, 11 knockouts to his credit. From Rochester, New York, ladies and gentlemen, Robert "Push-Up" Frazier. And across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trimmed with white and weighing 155 pounds. In 1996, he captured Olympic gold. And now, as a professional, he has a perfect record of 6 straight victories, 5 by knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the pride of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the American Dream, David Reid.
David. Right here, David, right here. Okay, gentlemen, you received my instructions. I expect a clean, professional bout. Understood? Touch gloves, go back to your corner.
The question about a young puncher like Reid at this stage of his career always is, what happens if the other guy can take your punch? What happens if he punches you back? Let's see if Frazier can ask those questions.
One good thing about this fight for Reid is that Frazier has a 1 loss on his record. This is something that Reid does not know how to do. It's a lot easier to get a guy to do something that he's done before than it is to do something that he's not done before.
Frazier's 1 loss to a fighter named Ken Cigarani in Cigarani's home state of Ohio, at a time when Frazier's people claim that he was not running, was not training well, and didn't have the stamina to compete in the fight. He claims it'll be different tonight. David Reid's best weapons early in his pro career had been the left hook and the right cross, the same weapons that carried him to an Olympic gold medal. And there's the left hook to the body and the right cross upstairs.
Very good right hand to the top of the head. Flash knockdown, didn't hurt Frazier too bad.
That's what makes Reid special. Let's see how Frazier responds to being knocked down and how he will be concerned about that quick right hand.
Frazier just a tiny bit more tentative now, having tasted the quick power of David Reid. Reid, as boxing fans know, has already had 3 separate surgeries to repair his left eye. Twice to repair a drooping left eyelid, and then a separate surgery to train the eyeball to come back up to its normal trajectory. But Frazier and his people just don't believe that Reid sees perfectly out of the left eye, and they think because it's his lead eye, it should help them both with the jab and with some counter punches inside.
Well, David Reid already took some of the steam out of this kid because he shocked him early. Frazier got knocked down and it took a lot of his confidence. He's not punching as sharp already as he was at the beginning of the fight.
No question, he's a different fighter than he was before the knockdown.
That's how you change a guy's mind quick.
Another left hook to the body by Reid, just missed with the right cross upstairs. Frazier looking less aggressive than he had intended to be. Frazier lands a straight right hand, but not with a lot of mustard on it. And Reid again digs the left hook to the body.
Yeah, Reid has put his punches together very good here early in the fight, Jim.
Step back, step back.
Both these fighters competing in the crowded 154-pound weight class. junior middleweight instead of the traditional 160-pound middleweight class where Bernard Hopkins, as you'll see later tonight, struggles to find high-quality opposition.
It's a good point, Jim, because one of the reasons that there are so few top-ranked middleweights is because some of them hide down at the 154-pound level,
where they can stay close to all the big money fighters at 147. De La Hoya, Trinidad, Forte,
Keep the hands up. Keep the chin in.
Jose Luis Lopez.
Ounce for his body line.
There was the knockdown combination. Left hook to the body, straight right hand upstairs. Frazier seemingly more stunned by the quickness than the power.
And it showed some maturity, Roy, because he waited. He wanted to see what Frazier had for 20 or 30 seconds. Bang, he unloaded.
Yep, and even after that, he came back and went back to his jab. That's very, very good in a young fighter.
One difference between Reid and some of the other top Olympians is he is 24 years old. The others are 19 and 20.
And this is probably why they're kind of rushing him, because, you know, he's at the age to where he should be looking to win a title. As his body matures, he's going to have a little bit more difficult time making the junior middleweight division. That was a good right-hand counter over Reid's jab by Frazier.
Yeah, one of the shortcomings for Reid, and there haven't been many, as he's looked good against quality opposition, but he's also gotten hit a little bit more than his manager-trainer Al Mitchell would like. He wanted to see Reid be a little bit more elusive tonight, and you get the impression that in focusing on that element, David has robbed himself just a tiny bit of his aggression. But he is more elusive, and he's not getting hit by Frazier as much as he did by the considerably more mechanical Dan Connolly.
Yeah, but once he catches Frazier again with that right hand, I think it's going to be over for Frazier. Because Frazier's head is standing right there in one spot, and it's not hard to get a guy with a good right hand, especially if you can set it up off the jab like Reid is doing right now.
Reid threw 45 jabs in the opening round and has kept up some of the tempo in this round.
Frazier's not confident with his punches.
No, he's pawing with his punches. He's pushing them. He seems more concerned about getting back to a defensive position than he needs to be if he's going to do damage.
Yeah, because he's worried about the power of Reid.
There's a collision of heads.
Lucky not to get a cut. Yeah. Good body punch by Frazier. Left hook to the body. And a right hand to the body by Frazier, as well as Reid was missing the combination upstairs. Now David digs his left hook to the body, and that's a good weapon for him.
Frazier has a little bit of an amateur type style because he comes out sparking early, and once he gets hit and gets a little tired, his whole fight game changes. Whereas Reid is adapted to this professional style, his punches are getting stronger as his fight goes on.
Reid landed the right hand lead over the top. Referee Tony Orlando asking Frazier not to hold Reid behind the head. Frazier seems unsure of what to do to get close to David Reid. Straight right hand landed, though.
Yeah, but he got caught with a hook because every time he punches, his head stays in one spot. And Reid is countering tremendous. Every time he comes in, Reid throws tremendous counter punches, and the guy punches and leaves his head in the same place.
Yeah, he has head movement right up until the moment when he decides to launch a punch.
Yeah, after he punches, his head is right there. You can guarantee he'll be there.
Frazier trying to find a way to get through Reid, but Reid very quick when Frazier takes the lead. Frazier very obviously, Roy, is not just an opponent, not just a setup, but whether he's good enough to cope with Reid is another matter.
No, he's not an opponent. He's a good fighter, but sometimes when guys can't punch as amateurs or they don't develop that strong punching power, they don't do quite as good in the professional ranks. And if he tightens up on his punches and stays composed, he'd be a much better challenge for Reid. But when Reid knocked him down, he lost most of his composure.
CompuBox numbers for the first 2 rounds show that Reid is landing a high percentage of his power punches, mostly missing the jab.
Step back, step back.
He's doing what Al Mitchell wants him to do, using the jab to try to set up the left hook and the straight right cross. This bout is scheduled for 8 rounds, not the normal 10 or 12. We're still in single digits. The total number of fights in David Reid's career. He lands a right hand across the top, but didn't have all of his power and leverage behind it. Reid with his hands up, blocking most of Frazier's punches as Frazier tries the 3-punch combination.
Reid can't sit back and wait for this guy. He's going to give him confidence if he continues to wait on him.
Frazier getting just a little bit looser, and the punches coming a little bit more freely midway through round 3.
Yeah, because Reid has to keep hitting him and let him know that he's in the ring with a better fighter. If he doesn't, then the guy will gain confidence.
Right hand over the top, landed for Reid again.
One thing Reid does good is he fakes at Frazier, and he makes Frazier show what he's going to do. Anytime he fakes at Frazier, Frazier gives him a shot almost.
Frazier was thinking that it was Reid who wouldn't be able to handle the feints and head movements in this fight, but Reid has actually been setting Frazier up with head movement.
Frazier is not doing much feinting, and he doesn't have a lot of head movement. A good combo.
Reid missing with the uppercut. Frazier able to scrape him with the counter right. Now Frazier lands a counter right on the face of Reid and continues to seize the initiative as David Reid loses sight of his game plan a little bit here in the latter stages of round 3. Now Reid pushing Frazier back with a straight right hand. But just as you suggested, Roy, Robert Frazier's confidence has grown since the first round knockout, or knockdown, I should say, and now he's a little bit more of a problem for Reid in there.
Yeah, because Reid didn't keep him scared. Reid had him scared at first, but then he backed off and let him get too much rest.
Here you see Frazier throwing that right hand. Reid rode a little bit with the punch. Frazier getting a little bolder. He's going to have to get a lot bolder because he's falling far behind, particularly with that knockdown in the first round.
Yeah, but if he gets a lot bolder, Larry, he's going to be knocked out.
Well, it's a question of whether you want to win.
Yeah.
Harold, your card through 3 rounds.
Jim, 3-0, 30-26, David Reid. Certainly David deserves an extra point for the knockdown in the first round. He did a clinic job on Frazier in the 3rd round with those body shots, and I love those 5-punch combinations he's throwing. And watch the effective aggressiveness. He backs Frazier up constantly.
Great. Step back. Good.
Counter left inside for Frazier. Seemed to wake Reid up, who fired a right hand. Frazier's been effective at blocking Reid's jabs on his gloves.
No. Come on, no holding the head in. Let's go.
And that seems to have stalled Reid's attacks just a tiny bit. Now Frazier trying to seize the initiative. Double left hook for Frazier. Reid comes back with a left hook of his own. Reid missing the right hand. Frazier peppering him inside with quick little counter left.
Right here's
power on them, but they're landing.
Right here's where Reid has problems, because he gets bored, he gets out in front, and he stops concentrating on what he's really doing. He has to learn how to stay focused on what he's doing.
And it's abundantly clear. You pointed out it was possible. David has allowed Frazier back into the fight.
Because he lost focus.
Well, but let's give Frazier credit for fighting his way back into the fight also.
Oh, most definitely.
There are the quick hands of David Reid. Frazier shaking his head after the right hand. Reid definitely made contact. fought as amateurs in 1994. It was close. And it's getting just a little closer here.
It's not been a bad fight right here now.
Step back, step back.
David dropping and digging with the left hook. Robert Frazier bouncing right back into position. Frazier with increasing energy in there now.
Yeah, but he still doesn't have that good confidence in his punches. He's not punching like a seasoned professional fighter.
That's it, that's it. Step back clean.
Come on, okay? Keep that jab out there.
Still to come on this Boxing After Dark triple header. The middle bout, heavyweights, Hasim Rahman, unbeaten and trying to polish his credentials against the ubiquitous Jesse the Boogeyman Ferguson. Ferguson says these young fighters haven't felt it to the body the way I give it out.
Back. You had him hurt with the hook, and you go and slap him for the fast shots. I don't want the fast shots. I want you to sit on him. Give me 2 and 3 punch combinations. I don't want 5 or 6 fast. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying, Dave? I want 3 punch combinations all hard. Okay. But you don't act like you're listening to me, okay? You let them linger.
Frazier told us that he received in the mail a picture of a dead goldfish in a bowl from the camp of Reid. He's not performing like a dead goldfish.
Reid and his trainer manager Al Mitchell said, you got to be kidding. He doesn't really think that we would send him a picture of a dead goldfish, does he? But Frazier firmly believes that it came from somebody in the Reid organization. And you heard Mitchell expressing his frustration between rounds. Asking Reid to sit down on his punches and try to land more solidly.
He wants Reid to go ahead and get this guy out of here. But he has to realize that when you sit down on your punches, you're making yourself susceptible to be hit by big punches.
Sizzling left hook by Reid.
Like that. When you throw big punches, that's what happened to you. I always like to stick back with the quick hands and do what he was doing. Outbox the guy and stay away from him. Don't go in and make yourself give the guy what he wants. Oh, it might be it.
Right hand landed for Reid, and suddenly Frazier wobbles.
Yeah, he's hurt bad now, though.
Legs in trouble for Robert Frazier. Reid with a full minute and a half. Let's see if he can finish here in the 5th round. Frazier leaning all over Reid, trying to blunt his attack.
Yeah, he's hurt bad now.
Landed another short right hand in there. Frazier still managing to stay on his feet. He's been wobbled twice.
Now Reid should back out and get him one good shot, take his time, and land that big shot that Al was talking about.
What about going back to the body to set it up?
Yeah, he should go to the body too, but right now he can take his time, get outside, set up one big shot, and get this fight over with. This is the time for the big punch.
Left hook lands for Reid, didn't have his weight behind it. Frazier holding on. Low blow by Reid. Orlando was on the other side and didn't see it. Frazier trying to survive the round on professionalism and will.
That was a good body shot by Frazier.
He's coming back a little bit. Yep. His legs are still wobbling.
Yeah, they are very wobbly.
Now Frazier confident enough to unload as he tries to back Reid off of it. The body shots set up another assault by Reid.
Step back.
Here's that howitzer right on the chin. And remember, Roy, earlier before the fight we asked, what is Reid going to do when he lands his best punch? and the other guy can handle it. Comes back at the end of the round, but he got a little bit excited. Didn't finish him.
Yeah, he got a little bit excited, but that's okay.
Give Frazier credit. Tied him up, lasted, and found his second win in the last half minute.
And wound up landing, by CompuBox numbers, 20 of 38 power shots in the round. So Frazier gave a pretty good account of himself even while trying to survive against Reid's power shots. Reid landed 31 of 59.
And Frazier just landed a good right hand on Reid's chin just then.
I find myself mesmerized by the left eye of Reid, because it seems that as the fight goes on, and maybe this is an illusion, Jim, that the eyelid goes lower and lower.
No, I think it's exactly where it started at, Larry.
But it is, I mean, even after 2 surgeries on the eyelid and a surgery on the eyeball, it's still so obvious and so radical looking that it makes you wonder about its effect on it.
Yeah, another good right by Frazier. They believe that he fights standing upright because it helps him to see, and they may be right.
Frazier's getting some confidence. Oh, low blow.
Time out now after a crunching low blow by Reid. And it couldn't have come at a better moment for Reid, as Frazier was beginning to punish David to the body.
Yes, he was.
Now, according to the rules, Frazier has 5 full minutes to recover from this.
Don't say nothing about the rules to run.
Stay here. Stay here. Stay here. Dave, that's a warning. One warning, okay? Hit a low, then you take a point, okay?
Take a look at the low blow. And Harold, I have to ask you, what are the rules in an 8-round fight about a stoppage?
Larry, it's up to the referee. The referee can give Robert Frazier as long as he wants to recover, generally with a maximum of 5 minutes. But let me tell you something. Robert Frazier was pulling David Reid's head down when the punch was thrown.
Well, let me ask you the question. If the fight were to...
You cannot disqualify David Reid. His head was being pulled down. Therefore, you cannot take a point away or disqualify him.
I'm not sure that Orlando saw that, Harold. He was on the other side of the low blow anyway.
The question is, if he doesn't want to go on, what happens here?
If he doesn't want to go on, he loses. That's it. You cannot win on a foul. He loses. He loses by abandonment, Larry.
Is that based on the assumption that Reid is ahead on the scorecards?
No, you don't go to the scorecards. If he doesn't want to continue after 5 minutes, doesn't make a difference who's ahead. He loses by abandonment.
Time in.
Time in. They're ready to fight. In this round, up to the point of resumption, Frazier had outlanded Reid 19 punches to 5. And Frazier keeps landing as they resume. And David Reid is in trouble here and asking the referee to pull Frazier off of it.
Come on, let him go, let him go. Quick! No punching, no punching.
Oh.
That's 2 warnings. 2 warnings. One more, Dave, you get a point. You understand? Let's go.
I thought I heard the referee say earlier, one more warning and I'll take a point, but maybe he was just saying one more low blow and I'll take a point.
Yeah, I think he's talking about a low blow then, Larry.
Well, it's been a very interesting 6 rounds for David Reid.
Yeah, but now he's turning amateurish just like the other guy was earlier in the fight. He's just walking in and abandoning his boxing. He should keep his discipline and continue to box.
Reid doubling his left hook. Frazier landing his left hook. Reid wants to brawl. And the wilder David Reid gets, the more he makes Frazier look like the man with the professional experience advantage.
Oh, another low blow.
Okay.
Oh, another low blow.
Go over there. Go over there. 1 point.
1 point off.
1 point.
1 point off of David Reid's card.
Watch this. I won you 3 times, okay? Let's go. Time.
That low blow would make it a 10-8 round for Frazier, which neutralizes the advantage that Reid had with the first round knockdown.
What did he tell you? What did he tell you? Don't be afraid.
Next time you get hit low like that.
All this, I don't want that. I want 2 and 3 punch hard combinations. One to the body and double off.
Stay down there when you're down there. Don't lift back up.
And you're coming back up and dropping your hands. This is no game, Dave.
Right,
do what I tell you.
Stay down there. No matter.
And you throw your straight right hand into the body.
Place your shot.
Let's see the punch on the break where he got in some trouble. Didn't seem to me like he did much there.
Because he pulled his hand down.
And here's the next low blow.
Okay, seconds out.
Yep.
Being pulled in to Frazier, it's true, but he has to be more careful when he does it, when that happens.
Watching the low blows reminds us that Riddick Bowe is here as a spectator this evening, sitting in the front row just behind us.
Well, Al Mitchell, the trainer, said he would be able to judge off of this fight on what speed he would move David Reid. He's getting a good view of where Reid is in his professional career right now.
Harold, how do you have it scored through 6?
Jim, 57-55, David Reid. Of course, there's no question that round 6 becomes a 10-8 round in favor of Robert Frazier. But let me tell you something, Jim. I still maintain that Robert Frazier was yanking David Reid's head down at the time that David released the right hand that went low, and therefore he should not have been penalized. There's no question. A punch can't go anywhere but low if you're pulling the guy's head down when you release the punch.
Harold, you've got Reid ahead on your card by 2 points. Did you give Reid round 5?
I gave round 5 to David Reid, rounds 4 and 6 to Robert Frazier.
So if somebody scored just the way you had and gave 5 to Frazier, they would have an even fight.
Correct.
So there's some interesting cards on the table for David Reid going into these last 2 rounds. Trying to maintain his unbeaten pro record amid questions in the sport as to whether he has been rushed in his early career.
I tell you, he's really landing some good punches now, David Reid is.
Right. Good. Step back down.
Al Mitchell has said all along that he wants to put Reid in fights where he has a 30% chance to lose. He says, I know that's not the norm. I know it's a big gamble, but I want him to learn fast, and he won't learn against guys that he can beat with no effort.
And this is true.
And this turns out to be yet another guy who had a chance to beat him. And you certainly expect that if he's keeping his wits about him, David is learning something.
He's learning a lot. Just can't get impatient here.
Reid trying to punch Frazier's lights out with an uppercut there. Mitchell said he was looking for 2 and 3 punch combinations. Frazier's trainer, Robert Johnson, has been with him ever since his boyhood in Rochester.
All right, no punch, no punch.
You might have heard Robert Johnson saying to Frazier a couple of rounds ago, you were the teacher. You were the one who showed this kid how to box.
No punching, stay off the head.
This is a good fight. This is a real good fight.
This
man.
has become a pitched battle.
This is a boxing after dark fight.
Yep. Good left hook in there by Reid. Landed flush.
Frazier also landed a left hook.
We're going to go back to round 6 to show the low blow that Reid was countered for and see how it developed. Now there you see Frazier holding his head down, as Harold Letterman pointed out before.
Good call, Harold.
As I watch this, guys, I remember that after 5 or 6 fights, there was talk in the Oscar De La Hoya camp of fighting Gennaro Hernandez for a title. He suffered a couple of flash knockdowns, and they thought better of it, and very wisely.
Let me give y'all a little bit of boxing experience here. On that punch where you saw where David Reid had his head held down, this is why they teach you to slip to the outside of punches. David Reid slipped to the inside of the right hand, which allows your opponent to pull your head down on his way in retrieving his punch. That's why they tell you to slip to the outside of the punch. Then you won't get caught in that position, and you won't be forced to hit him with a low blow.
Meanwhile, in the ring, Frazier and Reid are again trading wallops at close range. It's been a left hooker's battle in rounds 7 and 8, and they are both landing. There's the straight right hand for Reid.
That overhand right again. Yeah. And I think the other cat is hurt bad now.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Reid has landed the bigger stuff in this fight. Reid is a puncher in part because he is not afraid to put himself at risk by throwing that punch.
Yep.
He throws it with mean intentions. He throws it not worrying about what's going to come back, and that's what you have to do to be a puncher.
Yep, if you're going to be a puncher.
It's been an impressive 8th round so far for David Reid in a fight that he could conceivably be in danger of losing. Flurries of punches, strong combinations, solid power shots landed at close range. Mostly Reid doing the damage here in the closing frame. Frazier wobbles one more time as Reid lands another right-hand shot.
Reid is trying to finish strong here.
Right hand lands again.
Reid is finishing like the fighter everyone thinks he is.
Yeah, and just to revive the De La Hoya reference, Larry, remember when Oscar got roughed up and seemed to be in some trouble against John Molina? He came out and closed the show in the 12th round with a serious performance, and Reid is doing the same thing here.
Frazier has given a very good account of himself. We might see him again down the road. He seems to be just a little short here against David Reid.
Yeah, you have to believe that David Reid's heavier shots have carried the day against Robert Frazier. But Frazier gets an A for effort and for guts.
This he does.
Applause for both fighters as they go the 8th round distance.
Just keep in mind that this is virtually a hometown fight for David Reid, if there is a question on the scorecards.
Well, and Frazier's local promoter in Rochester, Jim Cassidy, made an issue of judging with the New Jersey State Athletic Commission. Wrote a letter to the chairman of the New Jersey State Athletic Commission, Larry Hazard, saying, I hope you will very carefully choose judges for this fight. And Hazard wrote back and said, we very carefully choose judges for all of our fights. And speaking of judges, Harold, how'd you scored it?
77-73, 6 rounds to 2. David Reid. Well, I'll tell you something. You were right. Robert Frazier got some heart. Tremendous heart. But in round 7 and 8, David Reid landed the big right hands. You couldn't take it away from him. You spoke about round 5 before. Jim, round 5 was almost a 10-8 round to favor David Reid. He staggered Robert Frazier with a vicious right hand. Certainly this is a David Reid win. 77-73 based on the hardest shots. 6 rounds to 2. But Frazier, the biggest heart of boxing.
All righty, let's go into the ring to hear what Michael Buffer has to tell us about the official decision.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we go to the Budweiser scorecards. Ed Leahy and John Stewart both scored the bout 77-73. Emil Conforti scores the bout 77-74 for the winner by unanimous decision. Still undefeated, the American Dream from Philadelphia, David Reid.